Hello and welcome to the sixth annual edition of the Texas Private School Media Football Award Show. It's here earlier than ever, assuming there's no delays in getting this thing edited into the people. There's been a lot of work put in by this, mostly from Walker Lott. I'll introduce everyone on the call first off. I myself, as always, am 1/5 of your hosting crew for the first time this season. Wes Tolleson. Walker Lott calls in from Fort Worth, Bea Bateman from the Brazos Valley, Jake Garcia from Austin, Texas, and Ryan Schroeder from north of the Red River in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. We brought B and Jake on. I think this is the first time that Jake has been on this year. It's the second time that B has been on. Both some of our hardest working and top interns that we decided to bring on as a special appearance for the award show. B, I'll start with you as your return guest. Number one, thank you for coming back. Number two, a ton of great athletes highlighted across this award show. Your thoughts on the opportunity to highlight their contributions to the sport and just the state of the union in general.
I mean, yeah, it's honestly, it's a great opportunity. I think some of these kids probably get overlooked, whether there's one kid above them that may be a little bit better or has a little bit better stats and they get the all state or whatever it is. But I think this is just a great opportunity for everybody to get recognized, even the coaches and the big moments and even some of the plays that we think are dumb, just the stuff that we enjoy, from the entire season. And so I think it's just a great opportunity.
I absolutely agree with that. I'm not just saying that because I'm one of the people that puts the award show on. I think that it's a fantastic opportunity to highlight all the kids that participate and especially the standouts in the sport. Jake Garcia, number one, welcome to the program. Thank you for coming on. Number two, have you gotten any use out of the Peloton behind you recently? Number three, same question I've posed to be a great opportunity to recognize some fantastic contributions across the sport. Your thoughts on all the fantastic athletes that we're about to list off and recognize?
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I have not gotten enough work on that Peloton, but again, happy to be here as someone that played the past 4 years in Texas private school football. Like I've seen these people, I've seen these guys, gone against these guys, and it's just great to be able to recognize them and recognize the work that people put in for 4 years straight, and just see and excited to see what these guys do at the next level.
Absolutely. Ryan Schroeder, this is not your first rodeo. We've done many of these before. I've already asked two of our analysts their thoughts on recognizing the players, so I'll stray away from that. How does it feel to be able to dress up and come back yet again for the award show?
Man, I was telling Walker and Wes, I went back 2 years ago, and it's just Walker and Wes on there. And you look at it now, in the past 2 years, we've had, a couple interns with us. Last year, I think we had Waverly with us and stuff. And I don't know, every single year, it's more and more fun to like have like a good group of all of us that gets to do this together. This is by far one of the biggest things we do each year. And honestly, I'm just super excited. When we even talked about this week of like, because like what Wes said, it's like this is a process. Like this takes a long time to go through, and the fact that Walker and Wes have really gone out of their way to really punt this down pretty quickly, really means a lot, and so that we can kind of get this out to you and move on to the rest of our coverage for the spring semester. So I'm super excited. This is always a great time of year, and yeah, I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, no, it was an incredibly efficient process. We woke up one Sunday. Walker was like, "Here's the list. There's some things that need to be hashed out." We were like, "Great." Typically, we do this discussion at a Panera Bread somewhere in the DFW area. I think it's pretty good timing that we stopped doing that once the spiked lemonades went away. By the way, not spiked with alcohol, spiked with caffeine. I want to make that very, very clear.
The energy, you said it boost the energy,
Yeah,
boosted
it
energy.
boosts the energy. That's some deep TXPS lore that I mean, if you see me at a game, I'll go into, but none of you care about that. All that being said, we woke up on Saturday, the list was there. We basically went through it, argued for a little bit, stopped arguing, figured out what it is, and we have the finalized list in front of us. So, Walker Lot, again, thank you for being here. It's not like you or any of us had a choice. We decided this was the date and we're going to do it. But again, one of the biggest things that we do all year, probably absolutely the biggest up there with the retreat, the opportunity to come back for the sixth straight season and recognize the best talent in Texas private school football, and really to be the only group that does that for Texas private school football specifically. Your thoughts on being able to get these guys the recognition that they deserve?
Yeah,
You kind of said it. I kind of deep dive, and this is kind of my thing in the winter time of like really um doing something special. And, when we first started this was something we wanted to do to award the community that was never done before, right? And also a way to get our name out of there, right? To go around the state, meet people, and give people awards because they deserved it. I was thinking about that when you were doing it, like it's this fast, like it's impressive by us. I remember the days where we did semifinalists, finalists, and award winners back in the day, where there was 8 people in award, and I was in my room that year one, being like, I'm freaking out, man. I have all I'm doing is watching film, looking at max preps, and I did not see my family for a good week and a half at one point. So I think now, wow, down to where we're doing it now, it's actually pretty seamless. Maybe the mind of the encyclopedia amongst the three of us is pretty good now to where we know what we're talking about now. And it's a pretty cool thing, and I'm excited to do it. And I think this is going to continue to grow as TXPS continues to grow, and maybe something where we maybe next year, if anyone's watching, like wants to help us out and do an actual in-person award show next year, I think that would be a really cool thing. So, we had to, we're not doing the actual in-person awards anymore, but this is still a really, really cool thing that I'm excited to do. And it's a lot of hard work. We added an extra award this year, doing the Athlete of the Year, which I think is a pretty cool thing. So I won't go too much on, but I'm excited for this.
Absolutely. And I'm actually going to flip it right back to you in a
I
second because
figured.
we always off the top basically say, all right, we're not some secret society where we go
No.
in and we're like, okay, we're going to draw names out of a hat and these are the awards show. We know that's a big complaint, especially among the all district and all state teams, because obviously it's a vote, but then
Yeah.
there's always people coming out of that are like, okay, well, how'd this happen? And no one really gets any clarification on that. We want to be very upfront and transparent on how the award winners are selected. It's a lot. It's very much stat based. I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of a screening tool that we use to be able to go through and look at, all right, basically, did you walk the walk? Did you talk the talk? It's not all stats because we recognize stats like men and women tend to lie sometimes. So typically, and also keep in mind, we've seen almost all these players throughout the season. So we
Yeah.
know like, hey, that passes the smell test. Hey, that's a bit on. So we take stats as kind of initial screen, and then we basically, for even, especially if you've only seen a specific guy one or two times, we're going to watch film. We're going to compare that film against someone else's film. Be like, okay, were these like mostly garbage time touchdowns, or were you going in against the best of the best, making plays over and over and over again? And also, to a certain extent, team success also plays into it. That's kind of a deal breaker. If two guys are like dead even, it's like, okay, listen, this guy actually contributed to a point that his team got to the state championship. That's obviously not the only criteria, or else this entire list would be Parish, All Saints, Lubbock Christian, and First Baptist. A lot of those guys are represented very well because they were so good. They propelled their teams to state. However, Walker, that's kind of the main thing. I'll turn it over to you since you're the guy that compiles most of the list. We're using stats a lot, but also we're blend. It's kind of like a well-seasoned soup. We're
Yeah.
mixing a lot of different elements in to figure this out.
Yeah, if you're doing a stew, I think like stats is like 50%, 60% of it, right? I think that's the main thing where if a guy's going for 1,000 yards receiving, they're on our radar, right? That type of thing. You go into there, I think all district, all state play a part in it just to get us who's on the radar of the coaches and who gets the respect from the coaching staffs around the state, right? We know that's a little bit biased in a lot of ways, so we don't take it fully to heart, maybe another 10%. For the trenches and DBs and stuff like that, where okay, 8 interceptions or 3 interceptions is awesome, but are you locking down one side of the field instead? And is that more important to a team, right? So we play a part in that. Film is another 10 to 15. Like you said, team success also plays a part. Offensive line film is massive, right? Like I really don't even look at accolades for offensive linemen. I look at the film and see who's the best offensive lineman in the state, and stuff like that, right? So I think there's a lot to play part in it. I think also probably the last 10%. I don't know if that math adds up to 100, but I think the last 10% basically is the eyeball test, right? Where when we're on site and we're watching these guys play, do they look the part, right? Do they, or when we see them with our two eyes, are they making impactful plays that we expected them to do, right? So all in total, it adds up to 100%. Stats, of course, is the main thing, right? If a guy's going for 5,000 yards, he's going for 5,000 yards. It is what it is, right? The film backs that up, right? So, but that's kind of how it works. Stats, film, accolades, eyeball tests. That's kind of, the pie chart of it is.
Exactly. And all that to say is, we take our time. we look at what we're doing, and also it's not just one metric we're using to judge people. This is a
Oh yeah,
large effort undertaken, but we do our homework just to verify
no
that. We say
doubt.
that every year, but again, we just say that to make sure that we are very clear on how the award winners are selected before we get into that. But
And adding on to that, I will add on to how it was more seamless this year. I think we were more efficient in like the naming and the processes because it was so easy to go to Max Prep this year and see a lot more schools adding stuff to it. Going to Twitter and seeing a lot more schools add stuff to their Twitters and social media, you know, where they're on social media a little bit better this year. So I think I want to give credit to the schools and the communities of like it was easy to be like, okay, between these five guys, I know they should be in the nomination for that. Okay, all these guys have awards, and now we can actually look into it a little bit more. So shout out to the community for that.
absolutely. So, with all that being said, before we get into our individual TAPS Division 1 through SPC awards, we're actually going to go through some of our superlatives. We started this last year. I think it's very fun just to kind of have some flexibility and recognize some kind of off the wall moments that wouldn't be recognized in a traditional award format. So those awards are going to range from best team in Texas private school, the best offense and defense in Texas private school, the moment of the year, play of the year, storyline of the year, game of the year, intern of the year, burner account of the year, concession stand of the year, game day environment, and best single game performance, as well as the upset of the year. So to kick off the 2025 season Texas Private School Award Show, we're going to unveil the best team in Texas private school football, and that is going to go to the All Saints Saints out of Fort Worth. 28 straight wins, wins over the two best teams in Division One that also played for a state title in Parrish and Prestonwood. The best offensive line, the best defensive front, the best receiving unit. It's really hard to even make an argument who else will be in this conversation besides All Saints. The level of dominance that Coach Aaron Beck has established with that program is nothing short of fascinating. And certainly that domination, I think, will continue for years to come. Congratulations to the All Saints Saints out of Fort Worth for the best team in Texas private school. We're now going to move on to the best offense in Texas private school. And that is going to go to the Lubbock Christian Eagles, the TAPS Division III state champions. Two 1,000-yard passers in Jace Jackson and Jason Fleming, a 1,500-yard rusher from Day Day Atkins, 1,500 receiving yards from Keaton Lee, 44 and a half points per game, 608 total yards per game, 9,400 all-purpose yards per max preps. Again, slotted against teams like Austin Regions, Fort Worth All Saints, Parish Episcopal. This was an incredibly tight race, but Lubbock Christian, the team that doesn't get a whole lot of shine out of West Texas, not only came through and win the TAPS Division III state title, also earning the best offense in the entire land. Congratulations to the Lubbock Christian Eagles. Moving on to the best defense in Texas private school. We're going to move down to the Southwest Preparatory Conference and award this to Nathan Larnett and the Kincaid School. We say it week in and week out. Something about Coach Larnett's defense absolutely stalls teams in the mud. You look up after dropping their first two games, that defense led them to a 9-2 record, 9 straight wins, their second straight state title. And it's not even with guys that are going to be a bunch of Division One athletes. It's guys that buy into the system and week in and week out wear you down. Congratulations to the Kincaid School on the best defense in Texas private school football. Moving on to moment of the year. And in all reality, this could only be one. I can't think of anything else it would be besides Jordan Jones's pick six for Second Baptist to beat the Woodlands Christian Academy. The season on the line, the underdog without a prayer, and all of a sudden, the best team in the Division II South is knocked off by Jordan Jones corralling the interception off of not the deflected pass, but Santiago Fernandez falling to the side and running it back into the end zone. A game that Walker Lott got to see live. Walker, this was such a cool play. You have to talk about this for a second.
Yeah, so I believe I was at the Legacy versus St. Thomas game, and Hempstead was on the way back home to College Station. I was like, this game is still going on, and I have to stop by, right? So I stopped by, ran over there, made it for the last 3, 4 minutes of this game, right? I think the last thing I saw was where Second Baptist tied it up with a field goal by Normad. And so I was sitting there, I was like, okay, interesting. Like it's now TWCA ball, go down to score and see if they can win it, right? And they drove down, it was around midfield, and they kind of were getting halted a little bit, and you're like, okay, just settle for overtime, call it a day, right? And they went for it, I think on third and fourth down, and Santee tries to make a play, and you're sitting there, you're like, you're getting a little freaked out. This was a thing where, TWCA was just the backs against the wall where they had multiple injuries, the whole thing with high note earlier in the day in that game, and you're just like, you need something, a spark or something. That's why you're trying to go for it all here. And it just, I mean, sometimes, sports is the worst for some people and the greatest on the other side. And this was one of those moments. And Jordan Jones makes a heck of a play. The ball just flies in the air. He's right there to make the play and runs it back. And I was on the TWCA sideline, and it was, you could hear a pin drop. Like that's how just monumental this play was. Like it's in the Hall of Fame of like the kick sixes of the world, right? Where it silences a crowd, right? And heck of a play by Jordan, and it keeps Second Baptist alive. And it's just what a play. I was so glad I was able to do that. And the whole thing of like, why not us? That is personified in that play.
Cannot think of a better moment than Jordan Jones's pick six. Congratulations to Jordan and the entire Second Baptist Eagles squad. We'll now move on to play of the year. We'll keep this in the playoffs, and this might be the greatest play, not just of this year, that I have seen live. That is Hunter Hudson's catch versus Central Catholic for Bishop Lynch to propel Lynch into a quarterfinal matchup. I genuinely can see this play when I close my eyes as Matthias Leon rolls out to his right, surveys, doesn't see, sees Hudson shake free, throws it, hits him, and the ball is probably not in his hands for a quarter of a second before he gets absolutely decapitated. The helmet flies off. I'm immediately like, oh my God, he's dead. I wonder where the ball ended up. And I look down to find the ball, and the ball's nowhere on the ground. And before I can even bring my eyes back up, Hudson's popped back up. He's screaming like a banshee. I'm confused. The Central Catholic defenders are confused. The refs are confused. He hung onto the ball. Lynch ends up winning 35-34, and just an absolutely insane time to have your first touchdown of the entire season with your backs against the wall with the greatest play that I have ever seen live in a Texas private school football game. Congratulations to Hunter Hudson and Bishop Lynch on the play of the year in Texas private school. Moving on to the storyline of the year, and it seems like this one always ends up in Division II, District 4. It's going to go to Houston Second Baptist, starting off the year 1-5, getting beat by 32 by the Woodlands Christian Academy, and then turning around and beating TWCA off that Jordan Jones pick six, and then Lutheran South in consecutive weeks en route to a title game. And no shame at all in falling to Fort Worth All Saints. I feel like this happens almost every year in the division, but to embody that why not us attitude, you have to give a lot of credit to Beck Bride and the Second Baptist Eagles. No one else, I think, could be the storyline of the year. Congratulations to Second Baptist for being the storyline of the year in Texas private school football. We will now move on to the game of the year. And how could it not be? The one that we build the entire year is Ragnarok, is the Crew Shetra, All Saints versus Regents, two 13-0 teams, the championship in the semifinals, 900 yards of total offense, Divine versus Beard, Resor versus Millington. I don't know how you could have asked for a better collection of athletes on that field at that time. We had, I think, 6 people on site covering the game. It was the most exciting game I've been a part of, able to cover, and it was a fantastic time. All Saints versus Regents. I hope we see another game like that. We would be lucky to in another 10 years of covering football. Congratulations to All Saints and Regents for compiling the game of the year. Moving on to the intern of the year, and we had so many good contributions. We had to split this 3 ways. We're going to have the journalist, the talent, and then the creative. The journalist of the year goes to none other than Sean O'Reilly for writing, I think, what capped out to be 30 or 31 articles this season. It was like clockwork. Every week there was two. There was one on Tuesday and there was one on Thursday that I would inevitably end up editing at about 11:30 p.m. at night and then turning around and posting to the site. Sean's dedication to come in basically year one and basically deep dive every week, find something to write without even having to be prompted. It was incredibly impressive, and we're very grateful for his efforts. Moving on to the talent segment. Actually, you know what, Walker?
Yeah, so for the next one, it's the Talent Award, and we're gonna give this to Bradley Hanna this year. A guy that since came into the program last year, and just kind of it grew into his own this year, which was really awesome to see. Covered multiple games for us, attended TapsCon this summer for us, and did interviews. Helped out at different events. And kind of led the way intern wise this year for covering games and in a lot of different ways. Kind of did his own inspiration in certain types of coverage. Covered multiple games, I think day or two after Thanksgiving for the LSA Second Baptist game. He put a lot on the line for us this year and did a lot for us when sometimes we didn't even need him to. And that's the dedication that he brings to this. I'm excited to see where he ends up in college. He's a heck of a guy, and if he brings a sliver of the work ethic he brings to us for the past 2 years, he's going to kill it at the next level. So very excited to have him on these past 2 years, and I'm excited for the rest of the semester. Congratulations, Bradley. Heck of a guy. Heck of a season for you. While also doing all Eagles on the air too. I mean, heck of a guy. Awesome.
And then the other intern award we had was the creative intern of the year. This goes to the guy that basically joined about 4 games into the season and just lit it up for us. If you look on our YouTube channel, we had 4 game recaps this year. They were all our most viewed videos of the entire season, including all of our episodes. He really killed it for us. That's Jaden Villarreal. He is just it was the best person we could have had for this. He is super hardworking, always wanted to do more. Um, Helped out in a variety of ways with clipping and everything else. Was a super help at the state championships, all while being a freshman in college at UNT. Easy award to give. TXPS Creative Intern of the Year to Jade Villarreal. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Can't think of more deserving winners as well as all of our interns for being able to help us out this entire year. Like we mentioned, like from B to Jake to Bradley to Jaden to Sean to everyone. Our content isn't half of what it is without y'all's contributions. We're incredibly, incredibly grateful for it. But now we have to move on to what is undoubtedly the most prestigious, most coveted award, not just in the superlative section, but also across any award that we're going to give out tonight. That is going to be the Texas Private School Media Burner Account of the Year. And this is, as always, it has nominees because it's so important. It would be disgraceful not to mention the nominees for the best award in the entire land. The nominees for Burner of the Year are No Context, but in German. No Context, Texas Private School Media. TXPS _ Ryan. The extended SPC Burnerverse included but not limited to Mike Jacobson, Daryl Ray, the John Cooper Dragon, etc. No Context, Jacob Bermudez. Those are the nominees for the Burner of the Year award. And the Burner of the Year goes to No Context, Texas Private School Media. It just there's no one else it really could go to. Um, I feel bad in this moment because I think at one point we said that No Context JB had locked it up. His contributions to the sport were fantastic, but they were not the OG No Context TXPS. No one can ever stand where he stood. He has basically created the burnerverse in Texas private school and will continue to be the godfather. And I cannot take that award away from my very good friend, associate, and business partner, No Context, Texas Private School Media. May your travels among the Greyhound buses be safe and plentiful on the roads across America and sometimes into Mexico. Congratulations to No Context, Texas Private School Media. We'll now move on to concession stand / cookout of the year. and we're gonna have split this into regions because there were so many good food. I will start and take the North. Walker will take the South. For the North, it's All Saints, no question. When you've got a competition grade smoker that can cook anything from hamburgers to brisket, the brisket that I had from All Saints at the Regents game might have influenced why I picked All Saints versus Regents as game of the year. That brisket was so good. It was probably the best brisket I've ever had in my life. And they just won up at every single year. The Letterman's Club basically operates on a different level, and that competition grade smoker is a large reason for that. So they get my vote unequivocally for the concession stand. Not even, it's not a concession stand, it's a cookout, the cookout of the year. Walker Lott, tell us your opinion from what you had this year.
Yeah, there were a lot of great competitions down in the South this year, but I think for me, it was the playoff game versus Fort Worth Christian at Austin Hyde Park. Another competition grade smoker. It looked like a lot of stuff out there. Wes, you know what they do? You know what they were like, hey, we're having appetizers. Here's fajita meat. That's what we have for appetizers. And it was just a tray of fajita meat that was perfectly cooked, tender as could be. It was unbelievable. And that was the appetizer. And then they had other stuff, and then I had to go do a job, sadly, and go cover the game, but and then get the whole experience. But like they had all this stuff out ready to go. The people were so nice down there at Hyde Park. I always have to circle Hyde Park down there because it is an absolute great experience down there. Um, I'm excited to go to a couple more places this year, try to grow and see if we can find a new winner for next year, but it's gonna be hard to beat there at Hyde Park.
It absolutely will. And Walker, since game day environment of the year was one that you were at, how about you take this one and discuss what you saw?
Yeah, and one of our interns can actually help me out with this a little bit. But the winner of Game Day Environment of the Year this year was for me all the way in D4, Central Texas Christian versus Brazos Christian, which for me was such a fun time. You know, Central Texas is a fun part for me because they have their packed out stands, right? And then the entire sideline is lawn chairs of all the Central Texas community. Literally, the entire sideline is filled with them. And so it's basically packed to the brim. You have to watch where you're stepping on the sidelines and make sure you don't get in anyone's way. And on the flip side, Brazos Christian brought it the energy the entire night, which was a lot of fun. B can speak to that, but I mean, it was a lot rowdy environment. You know, the game was hyped. You know, the guys on the field were ready to go. And in total, it resulted in the biggest momentum swing of the entire year. And then it went from a crowd of Central Texas being really rowdy to absolute silence, and then the other side of the field being absolutely raucous. And B, if you want to talk a little bit more about your side, because I know you as a cheerleader were whatever doing parading it on. I don't know if that's a term, but like you were hyping the crowd up, and just talk about the Brazos Christian side of things that day.
Oh, I mean, going into that game, I think we knew this is the game that basically whoever wins this game is going to go to state, and we knew that going into it. And it was close. And at halftime, a bunch of our football players turned around and looked at us and was like, "Okay, after this, like we need y'all to be as hype as you possibly can." And as a cheer captain, I was like, "Okay, I've got this. Like this is my job." And so they came in after halftime, and they were playing some of y'all's clips in the locker room. And I just remember turning around because our cheerleaders, we actually had to sit in the student section. So we had all of the students behind us, and we had shaker bottles and I mean every like noise machine you can make going off, and having the football team right in front of us, not even like 2 feet away. We were yelling at them. We're yelling at the refs. I think at one point like there was a chant going on for Austin Evans in our student section. But I mean, I'm a senior now. I've cheered a lot of football games, and I don't think I've ever been to one like that.
Absolutely. Wes,
No,
back to you.
I cannot imagine a better environment to catch a football game in. But we're going to move on to the best single game performance. And this one has to go to Cooper Witten on September the 12th versus 4A Division II Decatur. He had 7 catches, 203 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns, 13 total tackles, 1 tackle for loss, 4 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. I think genuinely that we were robbed from what might have been one of the greatest seasons in Texas private school history had Cooper Witten been able to play the entire season. injuries stink. They're part of life. They're part of football. But in the short amount of time that he had to play both sides this year, it was an absolute movie. It was stat lines like there were basically the nominees for this award were basically three different Cooper Witten stat lines that we looked at and we were like, okay, which one is it going to? He's such an incredible athlete. We're looking forward to seeing him in his senior campaign, but the short stint that we got to watch in his junior campaign was fantastic, and he will walk away with best single game performance. And moving on, I'm going to let Walker Lott take upset of the year since he at least got to catch the end of it. Walker, who is going to take home the upset of the year?
Yeah, it was without a doubt. I mean, the biggest upset I think in the past couple years, truly. And it was Second Baptist over TWCA in a game in the round one or in round two of the state playoffs and Division Two. This was a team where, like you said earlier, Wes, TWCA beat Second Baptist by like 30 in the regular season, or at least 20. And, this was a team where TWCA was going into it battling injuries, losing two receivers in the round before. But on the flip side, it's not like Second Baptist was fully healthy either, with a Cannon Tune that was fighting tooth and nail in this one through injury, right? And so it was a battle of just who wanted it more. And in a very scary injury in the first or second quarter to Braden Hino, stopped the game for like 45 minutes to an hour and kind of had to shift everything around. TWCA kind of lost the momentum they had in this game, and Second Baptist took advantage of it, everything they could, right? And TWCA didn't go and hide, right? They fought back and they made it a good one. And like we said earlier, Jordan Jones makes the play of the year with the pick six, icing the game, and you know, have one of the craziest seasons in Texas private school football history, at least since we've been covering it, right? On the flip side, TWCA probably the favorite to go to Waco the entire year from the South, loses in round two. This was a team that beat Bel Air Episcopal. Who else that year? Almost anyone that they basically faced. They were undefeated basically going into that one, and they lose that one. A massive, massive upset from a team from that had what 5, 6 losses to start the year, and to a team that was undefeated. So insanity happened that day in what is that, Hempstead, and only one team walks out of victorious, and that was the Eagles. So what a game!
Absolutely. And with that being said, that will cap our superlative awards for Texas private school. And we will move directly in to the sport's biggest division for the individual TAPS Division One Texas Private School Media Football Awards for the 2025 season. We're going to start with the Special Teams Player of the Year, which will go to Jack Drigas of Frisco Legacy Christian. A 64-yard field goal, ice in the veins. There is not a soul in the country you'd rather step up to the hash than Jack Drigas. Congratulations to Jack Drigas on the TXPS Media Special Teams Player of the Year. Now moving on to the TAPS Division One Athlete of the Year. And this award will go to Jonathan Phillips of Parish Episcopal. The TAPS Division One rushing touchdown leader was an unstoppable force the entire year and ultimately led the Panthers to a TAPS Division One state title behind his electric running and passing ability. Congratulations to Jonathan Phillips of Parish Episcopal, the TAPS Division One Athlete of the Year. Now moving on to the Defensive Lineman of the Year, and this award will go to Obina Ume of Houston St. Thomas with 71 tackles, 22 tackles for loss, 11 sacks, 11 hurries, 5 pass breakups, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. The most feared edge in the state will take his talents to the Gothic Wonderland to impose further pain among his ACC constituents. Congratulations to Obina Ume of Houston St. Thomas, the TAPS Division I Defensive Lineman of the Year. Moving to the other side of the ball for the TAPS Division I Offensive Lineman of the Year. This award will be presented to Kanan Smith of Prestonwood Christian. Tough, physical, and a high motor at 6'2", 290. Smith is the prize gem in an uber talented Lion offensive line that helped have almost 3,000 total yards on the ground, with Smith being the one pulling and leading the way the majority of the time. Congratulations to Kanan Smith, the Texas Private School Media TAPS Division One Offensive Lineman of the Year. Moving back to the defensive side of the ball, we will now present the linebacker of the year. We're going to stay in Plano and give it to Cam Pettijohn of Prestonwood Christian with 120 tackles, 80 of them being solo, 25 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 3 PBUs, and 3 fumble recoveries, just as a cherry on top. The Terminator obliterated the competition in his first year in Texas private school football. Congratulations to Cam Pettijohn, the Texas Private School Media TAPS Division One Linebacker of the Year. Moving on to the Defensive Back of the Year in TAPS Division One, this award will go to Avon Houston of Central Catholic of San Antonio. Seat belt. If Houston was on the field, half of it was restricted airspace. Teams didn't even dare to throw it to the long, lanky corner side of the field. One of the best defensive backs that we've watched throughout our time in Texas Private School Media. Congratulations to Avon Houston on the Defensive Back of the Year in TAPS Division One. Now we switch back to the offensive side of the ball, starting with the Receiver of the Year in TAPS Division One. And there's only one it could go to, and that's Jalen Pyle of Parish Episcopal. 3,000 receiving yards and 30 touchdowns, 2 state titles, one of the best to ever pass through TAPS, caps his career with a state title. Congratulations and good luck to the Michigan man, Jalen Pyle, on capturing the TAPS Division One Receiver of the Year. Moving on to the backfield in the Running Back of the Year, this award will go to William Taylor of Prestonwood Christian. 1,785 yards, 150 yards per game, 6.9 yards per carry, and 12 touchdowns. The most productive workhorse in the state takes home the Running Back of the Year. To watch William Taylor punish opposing defenses was a treat week in and week out that I'm grateful to have experienced. No one is more deserving. Congratulations to Will Taylor on winning the TAPS Division One Running Back of the Year. Staying in the backfield with the Quarterback of the Year in TAPS Division One, this award will go to Rogan Parson of Antonian Prep. 3,559 total yards and 53 total touchdowns for one of the best playmakers in 2027. His senior campaign is about to be one for the storybook. Congratulations to Rogan Parson on taking home the TAPS Division One Quarterback of the Year. Moving on to some of the superlative awards, starting with the underclassmen of the year. This really can't go to anyone except Logan Lucero of Parish Episcopal. The prophecy was written many, many years ago. 2,500 yards, 27 touchdowns en route to a state title for the first chapter of the future Panther great. Congratulations to Logan Lucero for taking home the TAPS Division One Underclassman of the Year. Now moving along to the Newcomer of the Year. This award will go to Topper Sterling of Antonian Prep. 2,500 yards and 23 touchdowns. No one burst on the scene with as much production as the running back from Antonian. Congratulations to Topper Sterling for taking home the TAPS Division One Newcomer of the Year. Now we move on to the big ones, starting with the Defensive Player of the Year. This award is going to go to the voice of reason, Sam Jones of Frisco Legacy Christian. 155 tackles, 26 TFLs, 5 sacks, a pick 6, 5 forced fumbles, 4 pass breakups, 19 touchdowns. Few players in the state meant more to their squad than Jones did to the Eagles, ending his career as the most feared presence in the land. Congratulations to Sam Jones, the TAPS Division One Defensive Player of the Year. Now moving on to the Offensive Player of the Year. And this award goes to Quinn Murphy of Liberty Christian. 7,000 yards, 93 touchdowns, a state title, one legacy. Quinn Murphy ends his career as the Division I Offensive Player of the Year before he continues his dominance in Waco, Texas. Congratulations to Quinn Murphy of Liberty Christian on taking home the TAPS Division I Offensive Player of the Year. Before we get to MVP and the Heart Award, we're now going to announce the TAPS Division I Coach of the Year, which goes to Willie Amendola of Concordia Lutheran. From fifth place in their district to a state semifinal appearance, Amendola led the Crusaders to the top of the South. Congratulations to Willie Amendola of Concordia Lutheran on taking home the Coach of the Year in TAPS Division I. Now moving on to the granddaddy of the ball, the TAPS Division I Most Valuable Player. Many willing, deserving athletes, but it can only go to one. And that athlete is Jackson Coleman of Concordia Lutheran. 52 receptions for 1,023 yards and 12 touchdowns, 111 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns, 740 return yards for 5 touchdowns, almost 2,000 all-purpose yards, 7 interceptions and a pick six, 12 pass breakups, 42 tackles. Who else but the Swiss Army knife? Congratulations to Jackson Coleman of Concordia Lutheran on taking home the TAPS Division I Most Valuable Player. And finally, to cap off TAPS Division I, we are now going to announce the Heart Award. For those unfamiliar, the Heart Award goes to some athlete who basically is willing to lay it all on the line for his team. It might be a guy that we don't get to collect in one of the individual awards, but one that we see over the course of the year is absolutely deserving, not just of recognition, but to basically be the focal point of their entire team and willing to support them in any way possible. And for TAPS Division I, there's no one this could go to but AJ Morial of Prestonwood Christian. For one of the top linebackers in the division to one of the most productive tight ends, few contributed more to their squad than AJ Morial, who's going to walk away with the Heart Award for TAPS Division I. Congratulations to AJ Morial. And with that being said, that is going to round out the TAPS Division I Texas Private School Media 2025 Football Season Awards. I will give my voice a rest for a brief second as Walker Lott is going to present the awards for TAPS Division II.
Moving on to TAPS Division II, starting with the Special Teams Player of the Year, it is Evan Rosencrantz from Fort Worth Christian. Whether you needed a kickoff, punt, or field goal, no better boot than Rosencrantz to get the job done. Shout out to him coming in this year and dominating for the Cardinals. Going to Athlete of the Year, for the first time ever, we have the dual award because we could not decide who deserved it more. So it goes to two people. The first one, it goes to Caleb Cruz out of Midland Christian and Braden Robinson out of Lutheran South. Cruz defensively had 2 interceptions, 23 pass breakups, and 40 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 1 fumble recovery. On the offensive side of the ball, he had almost 700 yards of on the ground with 8 touchdowns and then 200 yards in the air with 3 touchdowns. A true dual threat in terms of athlete for the kid out of Midland. And on the other side, Brady Robinson had almost 900 yards receiving and 10 touchdowns and 110 yards on the ground. And remember, this is also 6 touchdowns and only 9 games played for being hurt half the way of the year. That's how impactful this kid was this year, and led Lutheran South to one of their best seasons in program history. Congratulations to both Caleb Cruz and Brady Robinson for winning Athlete of the Year. Looking at Defensive Lineman of the Year, the winner is Isaiah Matthews out of Midland Christian. 16 sacks, 32 TFLs, and one of the most feared presences in the state. Isaiah Matthews is a tackle's worst nightmare and was all year. Congratulations to Mr. Isaiah Matthews. Looking at Linebacker of the Year, it goes to no other than Keon Atkins from Fort Worth All Saints. 107 total tackles, 5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 12 TFLs, and 2 interceptions for the best linebacker in the division and one of the top defenders in the entire state, an integral piece of the Saints title run. Going to the next award, it goes to Defensive Back of the Year, and the winner is Drew Novy from the Regent School of Austin. 6 interceptions to lead one of the best secondaries in the state. Novy led the charge for one of the best teams in the entire state, and in some cases, leaping over the competition. A fantastic piece for them, a heck of a year for Novy, and what a career there for the Knights down there in Austin. Going to the next award, it is the Offensive Lineman of the Year for TAPS Division II, and the winner is Rowdy Pierce out of Midland Christian. This isn't unusual for Rowdy to be in this conversation, being an all-state athlete for multiple years now. But the Utah commit took his game to another level this year and flat out dominated in one of the toughest districts in the state. Congratulations to Rowdy Pierce. Receiver of the Year for TAPS Division II goes to Hudson Reeser from Fort Worth All Saints. 938 yards, 18 touchdowns, and wide receiver 1 at wide receiver U. No one was covering the Colgate commit during his swan song. Heck of a season. Congratulations to Hudson Reeser for TAPS Division II Receiver of the Year. Going to the next award of Running Back of the Year for TAPS Division II. The winner is Langston Davis out of Second Baptist. 1,700 rushing yards, 18 touchdowns for one of the toughest runners in the entire state. As Langston Davis goes out with a bang, he was crucial for the Eagles to get back to Waco this year. A heck of a player. Congratulations to Langston Davis. The quarterback of the year for TAPS Division II was no other than Santiago Fernandez out of the Woodlands Christian Academy. 8,400 total yards and 92 touchdowns to close out an storied career for Santi before he heads to West Point. What a guy, a great young man. It's awesome to see him grow into what he's become. Congratulations to Santi Fernandez for winning Quarterback of the Year for TAPS Division II. Underclassman of the Year for TAPS Division II goes to Baron Meacham out of the Woodlands Christian Academy. 1,600 all-purpose yards, 21 touchdowns, one of the fastest kids in the state. Meacham established himself as one of the most electric prospects in the Lone Star State, and the best is yet to come. Congratulations to Baron Meacham out of the Woodlands Christian Academy. Newcomer of the Year for TAPS Division II is up next, and the winner is Cohen Jurgensen from Arlington Grace Prep. With 2,200 total yards and 20 touchdowns, Jurgensen left his mark on his sole season in Arlington. Coming up to the Division II ranks is hard, and he made it look effortless. Congratulations to the quarterback out of Arlington Grace Prep, Cohen Jurgensen. Now to the big awards. Firstly, we have the Defensive Player of the Year for TAPS Division II. And the winner is Kingston Byer out of Fort Worth All Saints. 15 and a half sacks, 41 tackles for loss, and a half. Don't forget the half. 83 tackles and 5 block punts as one of the most disruptive forces in the state would not be denied in his junior campaign. What a year. He just picked up FAU not that long ago. Congratulations to Kingston Byer on a great junior season. Now, looking to the Offensive Player of the Year for TAPS Division II, it goes to Gavin Beard from Fort Worth All Saints. 4,100 yards and 56 touchdowns, but more importantly, 12-0 as Beard leads the Saints to the Promised Land, coming over as a starter from Aledo and dominating this year for the Saints. He was crucial for them to get back to Waco and win it. Congratulations to Gavin Beard. Now, the final 3 awards. The first one is the Coach of the Year for TAPS Division II. And the winner goes to Beck Bryden from Second Baptist. Bryden led the turnaround of the century with Second Baptist this year, keeping the team together after a shaky start, securing a 3rd seed in district, and then after fighting through St. Joseph, an upset of TWCA, and a potential game of the year versus LSA in the semis, they make it back to state. Heck of a job by Bryden and his coaching staff to keep the vision of getting back to Waco. Now, for the big one, the TAPS Division II MVP. And the winner of the TAPS Division II MVP is Jack Devine from the Regent School of Austin. 3,400 passing yards, 55 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Then you add on 741 rushing yards and another 12 touchdowns and one of the best statistical seasons in the history of the sport. And we still get another year of him at the helm there for the Knights. He's a fantastic player, one of the best dual threats we've seen come through TXPS in recent memory, and we're excited to see where he can grow into next year. Congratulations to Jack Devine out of the Regent School of Austin, the TAPS Division II MVP. Now, for the final award for TAPS Division II, it is no other than the Hart Award. And the winner of the Hart Award for TAPS Division II is our guy, Cannon Toon from the Second Baptist School. From battling through injury to contributing at wide receiver to laying it all on the line at the state title game, no one has ever been more deserving of this award than Cannon Toon. I think the definition of toughness in TAPS Division II this year was Cannon Toon. You can look him up in the dictionary, and he's right next to that word. Was crucial for them to get back to Waco. Whether it was him at receiver, at quarterback, when he couldn't even throw the ball, at played receiver, when he finally could throw the ball at quarterback, he did everything for them. I believe he even played some defense this year. He was absolutely crucial for them to get back to Waco and truly the heart of that Eagles team. Congratulations to Cannon Toon. Now, let's move over to TAPS Division 3, where we have Jake Garcia presenting the awards for TAPS Division 3. Jake, go ahead.
To kick off the Division III TAPS Awards, we have the kickers, Matthew Newart from Dallas Christian. The kicker was 65 for 66 on PATs with 62 touchbacks and 10 punts inside the 20-yard line. An absolute weapon in the special teams phase that often goes underappreciated in high school football and a huge part of the Chargers' success this season. Next up, we have Athlete of the Year, and that is going to go to Ryan Whites from Lake Country Christian, an absolute stud, an all-state athlete on both sides of the ball. The senior receiver and defensive back was a central part of that Eagles team this year. Rolling into the Defensive Lineman of the Year, none other than Connor Evans from the Dallas Covenant Knights. 14 and a half sacks, 30 tackles for loss, 107 tackles, 4 forced fumbles, and 1 recovery. And the most impressive stat of them all is the fact that he's just a junior. The defensive lineman is poised to be an absolute terror for the Knights in his senior campaign. On the other side of the trenches, for Offensive Lineman of the Year, Major Tucker from Lubbock Christian was the backbone in the trenches for the state champion Lubbock Christian Eagles, anchoring the best offense in Texas private school football. And his dominance in both the run and the pass game earned him Offensive Lineman of the Year honors and set the tone for its state championship run. Moving into Linebacker of the Year, we have Jack Lemon from Dallas Christian. 138 tackles, 22 tackles for loss on the season for the junior. In a very talented Charger defense, rushing attack struggled going up against Lemon all year long, and another huge piece of that talented Charger defense. Going into Defensive Back of the Year is another Charger in sophomore Dylan Belt. Offenses game planned around the sophomore the entire year, and when thrown at, he made them pay. 7 interceptions, 21 pass breakups, and 66 tackles. Belt was the main force in a talented Charger secondary. On the other side of the ball, for Receiver of the Year, none other than Keaton Lee from Lubbock Christian. 81 receptions, 1,579 yards, and 20 touchdowns. The primary weapon for the Eagles, Lee was a huge factor in the state championship game, and the rest of the season was no different. The new Lubbock Christian record holder in yards, yards per reception, yards per game, and touchdowns in a season and in a career. An absolute legendary career from the receiver, and one that goes down both in school and Texas private school history. Congratulations to Keaton Lee. For Running Back of the Year, on the same offense, goes to Day Atkins, the new school record holder in yards per game. The first team All-State running back totaled 1,540 yards, 162 carries, 17 touchdowns on the year, averaging 128 yards per game, and once again going down in Eagle record books in an absolutely record-breaking year all across the board for the Eagles. For quarterback of the year, we move to Bernie Geneva and Caleb Kitadamo. The 2027 quarterback threw for 3,600 yards through the air with 36 passing touchdowns and 11 rushing touchdowns. Kitadamo was a huge part of the drastic turnaround of this Geneva program this season. For the young guys, for the underclassmen of the year, we go to Landry Kemp from Pantego Christian. The class of 2028 standout receiver totaled 1,000 total yards and 9 touchdowns on the year. We're very excited to see how he grows and develops over the next 2 years and is poised to have a standout junior and senior season. For the newcomer this season, we have Peyton Jankowski from Covenant Christian. The senior transfer from Timber Creek High School was the guy at the helm for Covenant, throwing for 2,800 yards and 24 touchdowns on the season, to go along with 6 rushing touchdowns to lead an explosive Covenant offense. On the defensive side of the ball for Defensive Player of the Year, none other than Jackson Barr from Dallas Christian, another absolute force for the Chargers this year, and another huge reason why they were so successful. 120 tackles, 36 tackles for loss. That is all you need to know. The linebacker was an absolute terror on the defensive side of the ball, and another reason that the Chargers have been as successful as they have been in the past few years. For Offensive Player of the Year, staying at Dallas Christian, DJ Stanley. 2,013 yards and 32 touchdowns. Absolutely ridiculous stat line, and another massive reason for the Chargers' success this year and their similar success in the years past. Incredible season to end off his high school career. Now for the big awards and the TAPS Division III MVP. From Tyler All Saints, Emerson Hadnot. 2,100 yards and 36 touchdowns on the year. The senior running back was the primary production for his squad in 2025, totaling an absolutely ridiculous stat line to end off his high school career. Moving on to Coach of the Year, we have the Geneva head coach, Bob Rosenthal. Leading the Eagles from a 6-5 2024 season to a 10-3 2025 season, guiding the program to one of its most successful seasons in recent history, and helping the squad take the step onto the top tier of D3. Congratulations to the Eagles and Bob Rosenthal. And lastly, the Hart Award for Division III. The most deserving was clearly Jace Jackson from Lubbock Christian. Watching this guy at state, he made it known quick the impact he would have on the game. Whether throwing, rushing, or receiving the ball, Jackson was going to find a way for his team to win. And when I first read this stat line, I had to make sure I was reading it correctly. Nearly 1,800 passing yards, 24 passing touchdowns to just 1 interception, 420 rushing yards paired with 11 touchdowns, 256 receiving yards, and a pair of touchdowns, and a pair of interceptions at defensive back. Nothing more to say. Jace Jackson was a central piece of Lubbock Christian's state championship run, an absolutely historic year. Congratulations to Jace Jackson and all of our Division III award winners. And moving on to the Division IV award winners, we have Bea Bateman presenting.
Okay, starting off for TAPS Division IV, we have Special Teams Player of the Year, which goes to Samuel Seabolt from Brazos Christian. He was a game-changing force for Brazos Christian, kicking for over 80 points. He was really the secret weapon for the Eagles, and congratulations again to him. And the next award for TAPS Division IV is the Athlete of the Year award, which goes to another Brazos Christian member, and Micah Sachs, the senior. He was a key offensive weapon for the Eagles, recording 42 receptions for 890 yards and 12 touchdowns. He also made a major impact on the defense, totaling 58 tackles and 8 tackles for loss. His all-around play helped lead the BCS program to back-to-back state championship appearances. And the next award we have is the Defensive Lineman of the Year award, which goes to Core Thomas from Dallas First Baptist. He had 89 total tackles and 11 tackles for loss. It was really his ability, though, to distribute plays and change the momentum of games, which is the reason why First Baptist's defense is as good as they are. And the next award in TAPS Division 4 is the Linebacker of the Year award. And to no surprise, it is Ike Klimchek from Central Texas Christian. He was one of the top tacklers, which with 119 total tackles, 10 sacks, and 3 interceptions. He played exactly how you want a linebacker to play and still was a hybrid player, having 655 receiving yards. The next award is the Defensive Back of the Year, which goes to Micah Foster from First Baptist. He was a defensive playmaker with a team high of 8 interceptions, which is just insane already. But to add on to that, he had 28 total tackles and 4 tackles for loss. The next award is the Offensive Lineman of the Year award, which goes to Ty Urban from Brazos Christian. One of the most versatile pieces in TXPS, Urban displays toughness, grit, and athleticism in the trenches that helped an Eagle offense dominate in Division 4. Have to give credit for him for also being an all-state linebacker as well. And the next award in TAPS Division 4 is the Receiver of the Year award, which goes to Lincoln Schleif from First Baptist. He led this FBA team in receiving yards per game with 63 receptions for over 1,200 yards with 15 touchdowns, making him more than qualified for this award. Next is Running Back of the Year, which goes to Reed Jackson from Brazos Christian. He led BCS in rushing yards, having over 700 with 18 total touchdowns. He's been a staple in this Eagles defense, also being someone they could count on when it comes to scoring. The next award is Quarterback of the Year, which to no surprise goes to Dylan Jones from First Baptist. This three-sport athlete led his team to a state championship win, averaging 265 yards per game with an impressive 3,554 total yards and a 62% completion rate, throwing for over 400 yards in Waco, making it obvious why this First Baptist team is known for the dynasty that they are in Division 4. And the next award for TAPS Division 4 is the Underclassman of the Year award, which goes to Antonio Cobb from First Baptist. In only his freshman season, he had 35 catches for 424 yards and 5 touchdowns. He is already among the team leaders in receiving touchdowns, and again, he's only a freshman. He is a prime example of the coaching that First Baptist puts into their players and a player to keep your eye out for. The next award is Newcomer of the Year award, which goes to Carson Ramsey from Brazos Christian. Ramsey had 1,300 total yards and 19 touchdowns, as well as racking up defensive plays, showing he knows both sides of the ball. This being his first season playing at BCS, I think we can all agree we are excited to see him play in his senior season next year. The next award is the Defensive Player of the Year award, which goes to Braden Raybuck from Mercy Culture Prep. This defensive end had 9.5 sacks for the season, 2 interceptions, and a blocked punt, but those aren't even the big numbers yet. He had 132 total tackles and 25 tackles for loss in only 11 games. This was only his junior season, and he still has so much more to give. The next award is Offensive Player of the Year award, which goes to another TXPS intern and Austin Evans from Central Texas Christian. The star running back for the CTCS team, having 195 carries for over 2,100 yards and 32 whole touchdowns. Evans had an unbelievable senior season, establishing himself as a well-known player in Division 4. And the next award for TAPS Division 4 is Coach of the Year, which goes to Adrian Adams and Jim Phillips from Rose Hill Christian. They joined Rose Hill in 2025, taking this team from a 3-7 to a 7-5, making it to the state semifinals. And the next award is the TAPS Division 4 MVP, and to no surprise, it goes to George Agnostic from Dallas First Baptist. He had 158 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 3 interceptions, 3.5 sacks, and that's just on defense. His play on the other side of the ball is just as impressive, having over 1,000 yards with 135 carries and 13 touchdowns. But now, probably the biggest award, the Hart Award for TAPS Division 4. And that goes to no other than Hudson Jacobus from Brazos Christian. He had 2,800 yards with 36 touchdowns. But besides fantastic stats, this award is about something bigger than football. His character, his grit, his leadership. That is what Hudson showed all season on and off the football field. And that is what made him really a standout quarterback and a standout person and someone well deserving of this award. And now that is all that we have for the TAPS Division 4 awards. Now it's off to Ryan for the SBC awards.
Hey, y'all, I'm here to deliver the SBC awards for TXPS. This is both SBC, both 4A and 3A combined together. And let's get into it. Starting off with the Special Teams Player of the Year award. The SBC TXPS Media Special Teams Player of the Year award goes to Alex Majid of Kincaid. As a sophomore, Majid went 7 for 7 all over 25-yard field goal kicks with a long of 37 and went 47 for 47 on PATs, plus a long kickoff of 64 yards and a punt long of 59 yards. Truly a difference maker for the Falcons all season. The next award is the SBC TXPS Media Athlete of the Year award. The SBC TXPS Media Athlete of the Year goes to Caden Tolbert of Trinity Valley. With 2,800 yards, 30 touchdowns, and the definition of a dual threat, if you needed someone to take over a game, you called Tolbert. That's TVS's Caden Tolbert as our Athlete of the Year in SBC. The next award is the Defensive Lineman of the Year award. The SBC TXPS Media Defensive Lineman of the Year goes to Oak Ridge's Easton Jefferson. In the 9-game totals on Max Preps, without the state championship included, he had 55 total tackles, 15 TFLs, 8 sacks, 8 QB hurries, 1 forced fumble, and 3 fumble recoveries. Then, in that state championship game against Fort Worth Country Day, he had a big man pick six, which was absolutely a big statement as they won by just 2 touchdowns in this game. Obviously, very deserving of this award. The Defensive Lineman of the Year award in the SBC, Oak Ridge's Easton Jefferson. The next award is the SBC TXPS Offensive Lineman of the Year. The SBC TXPS Media Offensive Lineman of the Year award goes to Houston St. John's Will Hellinger. At 6'3", 255, the junior dominated this year for the Mavericks, allowing 0 sacks and helping Hanley Sayers in the rushing attack go over 1,700 rushing yards. An absolute beast down in Houston. The next award is the Linebacker of the Year. The SBC TXPS Media Linebacker of the Year award goes to Episcopal's Madden Morgan. With 97 tackles, 20 TFLs, 3 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 10 QB pressures / QB hurries, and 4 pass breakups. There's a reason why he was getting it done down in Episcopal. Madden Morgan is our Linebacker of the Year in SBC. The next award is the DB of the Year. The SBC TXPS Media Defensive Back of the Year goes to Will Lemons of Oak Ridge. 8 interceptions, 5 touchdowns, 2 pick sixes, 62 tackles. You don't go 10-0 unless one guy is locking up one side of the field. The next award is the Receiver of the Year award. The SBC TXPS Media Receiver of the Year award goes to Green Hills Trey Davis. With 72 catches, 1,130 yards, 11 touchdowns, the junior torched opposing secondaries, setting up for a record-setting senior season. The next award is the Running Back of the Year. The SBC TXPS Media Running Back of the Year award goes to St. Mart's David Dixon. In 9 games on Max Preps, he had 16 touchdowns with 1,009 rushing yards, averaging about 6.86 yards per carry, and 226 receiving yards, totaling over 1,200 yards on the season. The next award is the QB of the Year award. The SBC TXPS Media Quarterback of the Year award goes to John Cooper's Colson Collins. 2,900 yards and 37 touchdowns in only 9 games. Collins put the conference on notice in his penultimate season. The next award is the Underclassman of the Year award. The SBC TXPS Media Underclassman of the Year award goes to Joe Norman of John Cooper School. Find me another freshman with the ability and production of Norman in the state. I'll wait. The star wide receiver accounts for 1,000 yards in his first year under the bright lights, especially at a school like John Cooper, who's looking to step it up year over year. The next award is the Newcomer of the Year award. The SBC TXPS Media Newcomer of the Year award goes to Donovan Warren of Bel Air Episcopal. With 2,900 yards and 25 touchdowns, Donovan Warren has established himself as one of the best sophomores in the state and will have the conference on notice for years to come. The next award is the Defensive Player of the Year award. The SBC TXPS Media Defensive Player of the Year award goes to Deacon Morgan of Bel Air Episcopal. With 71 tackles, 27 and a half TFLs, 10 and a half sacks, 38 QB hurries, 8 QB hits, and 2 forced fumbles for Morgan the Younger, as his ferocity led EHS to another SBC state title appearance. I mean, with stats like 27 and a half TFLs, who else is winning DPOY in SBC? The next award is the OPOY award in the SBC. The SBC TXPS Media Offensive Player of the Year award goes to Oak Ridge's Cole Worthington. With 4,200 yards, 52 touchdowns, and a state title to cap a career that rings the halls of Oak Ridge for years to come, there's nobody else more deserving. 10-0, Cole Worthington, Offensive Player of the Year in the SBC. The next award is the Coach of the Year award in the SBC. The SBC TXPS Media Coach of the Year goes to who other than Jeremy Flowers from Oak Ridge. You go 10-0, state title, culture established, and Flowers has set the standard in Arlington. The next award is the SBC 4A and 3A MVP. The SBC TXPS Media 4A and 3A MVP goes to Houston Kincaid's Wayne Shanks Jr. Was there anyone else who was going to go to? 2,500 yards, 31 touchdowns, and the best athlete in the conference torches the competition en route to the title number 34 in Houston. Wayne Shanks Jr., a dog forever at Houston Kincaid. And the final award in the SBC, the Hart Award. The SBC TXPS Media Hart Award winner goes to Colton Roden of John Cooper. Roden proved that he was not simply a force on the defensive front, as he had been the past years, but also a key weapon at running back with 900 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. As there was nothing he would not do to propel the Dragons forward. A captain of John Cooper, he was truly the heart of the Dragon team. Best of luck at Carnegie Mellon next season. And now we will go into the overall awards.
Thank you for that transition, Ryan. As always, at the end of every award show, we take 4 final superlative awards. This is large and small school coach of the year, as well as most valuable player.
Now, looking at large school coach of the year. A lot of great coaches, a lot of great coaching staffs around the state, but there can only be one. And the large school coach of the year is Beck Bryden out of Second Baptist. Even though he is not going to be at the helm of the Eagles next season, what he and the rest of this coaching staff did for the Eagles last season was borderline impossible, and in the end, absolutely amazing. Second Baptist started the season losing 5 out of their first 6 games and also had to deal with their star quarterback going down with injury and having to go with a couple games in the middle of the season with their sophomore backup. With Beck at the helm, the staff and the team did not lose faith and won 6 out of their next 7 games. In the beginning stretch of these wins, it allowed Second Baptist to secure the 3rd seed in district. And after getting the quarterback back and fighting through St. Joseph, Bryden and his staff had his guys ready to go in the 2nd round. And in result, had one of the best upsets in the past few years against TWCA and then followed up in a potential game of the year versus LSA to make it back to state. Ultimately, getting to Waco was the end of their journey, but the journey itself for the team that chanted, "Why not us?" all postseason was truly a great one. Being one of the coaches that is borderline or even on the Mount Rushmore of TXPS head coaches, Bryden isn't shy of titles won in TXPS, but I would for sure think that this run is going to be one that he will remember for a long time. Bryden has now left Second Baptist, and we wish him the best of luck in the next chapter, whether that's back in coaching at TXPS or any other future endeavors. Yeah, moving on to small school coach of the year. And there was a lot of great coaches, a lot of great success this year. But the guy we wanted to mention and honor today as the small school coach of the year goes to Jeremy Flowers from the Oak Ridge School in Arlington, my guy. A guy who kind of transcended and transformed Southwest Christian when he was there as a coach, and brought them to back-to-back semifinals. Took a couple years away from coaching. I guess got that itch. It came back and now has just transformed the team over there at Oak Ridge, to a team where, you had your guys already there, and Luke Dearman, Cole Worthington, Easton Jefferson. You just had to inspire them and create a culture of success. And he's done that with the coaching staff he's brought in and the guys as well as Kingston Parks and others. The culture he has created there at Oak Ridge is not one that's just going to have success in one year, but this is the start of a established culture of success in the SBC ranks that for years to come, which we are really, really excited to cover. He's one of the best men, best leaders of men I've ever been around, and a great, great dude. Congratulations to Jeremy Flowers from the Oak Ridge School in Arlington. Moving on to the next award, the Large School Player of the Year. And there was a lot of great players this year in large school, which means TAPS Division 1, TAPS Division 2, or SBC 4A. And the winner of the Large School Player of the Year goes to Jack Devine from the Regent School of Austin. The stats alone are impressive. And let's say him again: 3,400 passing yards, 55 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And on the other side, 740 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. That means over 67 total touchdowns and over 4,000 total yards. Devon had a sensational year, leading one of the best offenses in the state. Also goes into the Blake Smiths and the Caden Millings of the world to allow this to happen with Isaiah Mills running the ball to help him out in the offensive line. This is a true team award, but the guy slinging the pill and just distributing in that offense was at the utmost elite level this year. Congratulations to Jack Devine, our large school player of the year.
And finally, to cap off the Texas Private School Media 2025 award show, we have the TXPS Media Small School Player of the Year. And this award goes to George Anagostas from Dallas First Baptist. 158 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 3 picks, 3.5 sacks. On the other side of the ball, over 1,000 yards with 132 carries and 13 touchdowns. To watch George Anagostas play football is essentially like watching a freight train run through a bunch of plywood. The amount of effort and dominance he exerted over and over throughout the entire season. I mentioned it before that it's really only rivaled by guys like Palmer Nix that I've seen in my entire life. I seriously mean it when I say he's not only one of the best athletes in all Division 4, he's one of the best linebackers in the entire state. George Anagostas starts on any team you put him on in Texas private school football. I guarantee that. All that being said, is he is an incredible athlete, more than deserving of Texas private school small school player of the year. And he's still just a junior. We've got one more season of George Anagostas. So congratulations to George Anagostas on our superlative Texas Private School Media Football Award Show winner. All that being said, that actually wraps up all the awards we're going to get through on this episode. Yet again, the earliest we've ever had this in the books, the most efficient we've ever done it. Thank you to everyone that actually gives us content to talk about. Thank you to all the athletes that we featured on this list. To be able to cover all of you, and especially to the seniors, has been an absolute treat. And we take great pride in just being one small piece of your journey throughout Texas private school football. Thank you to everyone that watches week in and week out and supports us. All that being said, I'm going to cut now to Jake Garcia. As always, we give the interns a brief shout before we get off the program. Jake Garcia, number one, thank you for coming on and assisting us with the awards show. Any parting shots as we wrap up the football content from 2025?
Just once again, happy to be here. Great time competing against these guys, great athletes, great competitors in the past 4 years. Um, Texas private school football is really a great place to play, great place to be. And I just could not be more grateful for my time, both as an intern and as an athlete.
Absolutely. Bea Bateman, as we conclude and as you wrap up, I think your second appearance on the Texas Private School Media podcast this season. Your thoughts as we wrap up 2025 football content and majority of your contributions towards TXPS for the season.
Yeah, this has been awesome. I followed in Waverly West's her footsteps, and it's really just been an awesome experience getting to go to state and just getting to meet y'all. Y'all are some of the funniest people I think I've ever met. So it's just been an amazing experience and getting to see these athletes play on Friday nights or at state. And they are great athletes. And I'm just so glad that we have this opportunity to showcase what Texas private school football is like.
Absolutely. No, that's basically our MO as it's been throughout the entirety since the inception of TXPS Media is that it's an underrepresented sector in Texas private school football. We all played in it and decided, hey, these kids deserve some coverage, and this is a massive part of getting the kids the coverage they deserve. Thank you yet again to everyone that watches. Thank you to the people that will inevitably tell us that we got some aspect of this list wrong. With the amount of work that goes into this, I'm pretty confident that it's pretty airtight. But that being said, in all seriousness, thank you to everyone that supports us week in and week out. We'll be back in your feed with, I'm sure, some insane offseason episode in the next couple weeks because this is typically where we're sneaking up on the time where crazy things happen in the offseason. We will be here to report every ounce of that. But for myself, for Walker Lott, for Bea Bateman, for Ryan Schroeder, for Jake Garcia, I have been 1/5 of your hosting crew. My guests have fantastically been themselves. We will see you in the next episode. See you later.